Chapter 25, Bathing in Milk and Honey, commences with a quote from the Apostle Paul. These things happened to them as examples and were written down as warnings for us, on whom the culmination of the ages has come. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall. Surely, along with such a mind-blowing list of blessings and curses, God must also have given Moses some tips on how the Israelites could stay focused on him after he blessed them. Wouldn't he? Yes, just as a loving God would. As early as chapter 4 of Deuteronomy, Moses starts to give glimpses of the secrets to holding on to God, even when you don't feel the need. In verses 3 and 4 we read, "You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did at Baal Peor. The Lord your God destroyed from among you everyone who followed the Baal of Peor. But all of you who held fast to the Lord your God are still alive today." Tip number 1, hold fast to God. And in verse 9 we read, "Only be careful and watch yourselves closely, so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen or let them fade from your heart as long as you live." Tip number 2, don't forget how God has led you in the past. And Moses continued, "Teach them to your children and to their children after them." Tip number 3, make your spiritual journey known to your descendants. Hand down the stories of God's leading in both the small and the momentous events in your life and of those before you. Let them see that God is a very real and active part of your daily decisions and actions. Moses continues in verses 22 and 23. "You are about to cross over and take possession of that good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you. Do not make for yourselves an idol in the form of anything the Lord your God has forbidden." An in-depth biblical study of idols and idolatry will reveal that they aren't just little figurines made of gold, silver or wood to which people bow down. An idol is anything created by our own hands or efforts that has our foremost affections and investment of time, that takes our attention away from God. It may be a little gold statue, but more often than not, it's our home, career, sports, television, laptop, smartphone, or share portfolio. God tells us not to turn anything into an idol, especially not his blessings. They're to be enjoyed and shared, not adored and idolized. In Deuteronomy 4 verse 40 we read, "Keep his decrees and commands, which I am giving you today, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that you may live long in the land the Lord your God gives you for all time." The bountiful land God was giving them for all time was their blessing. How could they keep the blessing? By keeping the decrees and commands that God had set before them. And it's the same for us today. If we keep God's laws and follow his guidance to the best of our knowledge and spirit-led ability, then we will be able to rightly handle the blessings. We can be faithful stewards of the blessings and talents he has entrusted to us. It is possible. So what are these laws of God? Well, Moses read them out, probably very loudly considering the size of his audience. Number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. Number 2, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing love to 1,000 generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. Number 3, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, for the Lord will not hold anyone guiltless who misuses his name. Number 4, observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. 6 days you shall labour and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your ox, your donkey, or any of your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns, so that your male and female servants may rest, as you do. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and that the Lord your God brought you out of there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. Number 5. Honour your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live long and that it may go well with you in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Number 6. You shall not murder. Number 7. You shall not commit adultery. Number 8. You shall not steal. Number 9. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbour. And number 10. You shall not covet your neighbour's wife. You shall not set your desire on your neighbour's house or land, his male or female servant, his ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbour. Many of these 10 ancient laws are still the very foundational principles of our legal system today. They're wise, fair, and clearly written. Moses goes on, reiterating the conditions on which the blessings are based. In Deuteronomy 5 and 6 we read, "Oh, that their hearts would be inclined to fear me, and keep all my commands always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever." And again, "So be careful to do what the Lord your God has commanded you. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left. Walk in obedience to all that the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess." And in chapter 6 verse 3, "Hear, Israel, and be careful to obey, so that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in a land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you." He laid out the situation in very simple, very clear logic. No one could plead ignorance or misunderstanding. In chapter 11, verses 26 to 28, we read, "See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing if you obey the commands of the Lord your God that I'm giving you today. The curse if you disobey the commands of the Lord your God, and turn from the way that I command you today by following other gods, which you have not known." Moses continues to share God's laws, decrees, and promises for another 21 chapters before coming to a pivotal text. His very last instructions to God's people. Just one small sentence on which the entire weight of his discourse lies. 120 years of God's leading is concentrated into just 12 key words. In Deuteronomy 32, verses 46 and 47, we read, "Take to heart all the words I have solemnly declared to you this day, so that you may command your children to obey carefully all the words of this law. They are not just idle words for you, they are your life. By them you will live long in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess." Not just idle words, your life, my life. Not just a long list of ancient creeds and weird-sounding rules, life.